Apparently there was illegal blows people wanted us to talk about in the Islam Makhachev fight to the back of Alexander Volkanovski's head. John, please educate these people that are out there.
The part that amazes me is they take what they have read and they put it down to what they think is the back of the head. Okay. What is illegal to the back of the head is not what a doctor is going to say is the back of the head. That is not illegal in MMA. When you're talking about, I saw people saying, that Makhachev kneed him to the head while he was down. Jesus Christ, man. You could take a still picture of anything and make it look like something. He did not knee him when he was down. If you're a Volkanovski fan, which I am, you got to look and say, we either make excuses for the fight or we say, hey, man, my guy lost and we move on. Okay? When we talk about the back of the head, when guys are in motion and think, Josh, let me ask you a question real quick. How easy is it for you to just target the exact place for your hand to hit while you're trying to finish somebody? Because I can go back and say that Josh Thomson hit Nate Diaz to the back of the head. You meant to, right?
No.
Okay.
No. John, when you're looking at this photo, it's a still photo, and now you have the hammer fist it looks like more to the top into the cranium, like right there on the top of the.
There was, I'll give it, there's that one.
Okay.
I think there is that one.
What it is.
But there's motion involved. Yeah. And so what the referee is saying is, don't hit the back of the head or watch the back of the head because he sees movement. And that way, if Islam comes back with a second shot in that exact place, then he'll do something about it. But the rule is no directed, understand the word, directed shots towards the back of the head. And when we talk about the back of the head, we're talking about a 1-inch strip to either side of center line from the crown of the head straight down the spine. Okay? That shot right there will make it look like, yes, that's the back of the head, and that's that one. But in a finishing sequence where there's motion, the referee's not going to stop it off of the one shot as a guy is moving and a guy is on top of them, moving, trying to hit him to end the fight. You're going to get this. It is part of the sport, and this is not something. If we took, and people are like, we should have a double champ in Alexander Volkanovski. God forbid we ever had someone stupid enough to do something like that.
Well,
okay?
Day was ready to put an interim title around his waist. Fucking guy. John, we've seen this so many times. Like, look, I actually am kind of in the world of believing that he was kind of already out.
Yeah,
I mean, his head was just bobbling around. I mean, I would like to have seen the ref jump in actually a tiny bit earlier, but then I understand it is Volkanovski. He is the champion. You've got to let him go out on his shield. It's a shit situation, but I mean, you can't stop a fight like right there on that moment. Those type of things, you just can't do it. Just no way.
No, and if you could recall from this point here, all of a sudden Islam switches it because he starts to see, and he starts to switch his hand to come up towards anything landing. Anything, any part of my body touches that ear, it's legal. Okay? I can take my hand and put it almost to the back of that center line of the head and have my hand touch that ear, it's still legal. If it touches the ear in any fashion, it's legal.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't know what to tell people. You're trying to die on an island that you don't want to be on because you're going to lose. This is not a foul situation. This was the end of a fight situation, and it was done correctly.
Yeah. John, there's another foul with the Johnny Walker fight and the knee. And then I believe I saw something that was Aljo came out and said, like, how come this guy, or somebody came out and said, hey, Aljo won a title off of this. How come I didn't get it? I think it was Johnny Walker. And it's like, why are we not using these rules? Well, I said, like, Aljo was what, 3 rounds in?
4 rounds.
4 rounds into the fight, right? It was like in the third or fourth round. Yeah, fourth round. Yeah. That's why, dumbass. Like whoever was, like, it got to the point where people are now they're finding any excuse. And like we talked with Rich Franklin, who's our guest on this show, but we talked with Rich, and fighters will find any reason to cheat. And it's not cheating. It's trying to skew the rules, trying to work around them. And I got really mad on the last show talking about Makhachev, and I think he's a fantastic fighter. But this whole Kappa squat, fingertips on the ground, and I even called Andy Foster because it was fucking bothering me so much. I was getting so mad about it. I'm like, I was just thinking about it in my head. I'm like, Andy, this type of stuff, we've got to stop it. We've got to stop. Like, we've got to stop.
Like we didn't try to stop it, and they just went.
No,
right
you guys
back
just aren't doing a very good job of it. Let me speak up for you guys, okay? Let me educate you.
Hey, you just keep going. Baby.
No,
I'm 100% for you speaking up.
Then I think maybe you just need a little bit more backup, maybe some muscle. Okay, that's why you bring me in.
Dude, that's it right there.
I've got to the point though, John, where you see Jason Herzog is reffing that fight against Makhachev, and he sees that he's just dangling his hands around the mat, kind of playing the whole game, never with weight bearing. His hands are not weight bearing. He's not carrying any of his weight on there. It's just his fingertips. If your fingertips are on there and you're not putting any pressure on it, I should be able to nail the shit out of your face. It doesn't matter if you got two of them on there or not. Which is where, and I believe, and I really do believe that there will be a change in some sort of policy or rule system in this thing here. I wouldn't say it's going to come soon. It's going to take a long time, but the fighters will evolve and change the way that they fight. You know what I mean? To make this, because it's getting to the point where it's taken away now from the fight and it's favoring the top level wrestlers. You can see, in that I'm not that I'm saying that they shouldn't be allowed to. It just, they have now learned to work around those rules so well that now it's giving them the clear advantage.
Yeah. Anytime someone, and when I was refereeing, I would do the thing of, when if you were fighting someone, Josh, and you were attempting to use technique to offensively, effectively damage your opponent, while your opponent was trying to use a rule, not technique, not skills and ability, but a rule to protect themselves, I was going to always lean towards your side, because you're playing the game. The other person is playing the game. They're trying to use not skill and technique. They're trying to use a specific rule set to keep themselves safe. That's not fighting. Yeah. That's not fighting. And so I look at, I actually saw, and I was a little bit discouraged. I saw Makhachev actually complaining, and I'm like, you had nothing to complain about in that fight, because in reality, he was complaining about the judges had given Tim Elliott was winning the fight.
Yeah, he was.
He had to get that finish, and I'm like, and what made you think that you were winning this fight? What made you think that you were doing so many great things that the judges were just crazy for going with Tim Elliott, who was doing a whole bunch of stuff to try to end the fight, to try to put you out? That's what they're looking for. It's not about who can play a game better.
Yeah.
And I look at it, and it's, at one point we went and tried to say, hey, you got to put both hands down, palms down, for you to be a down fighter. This is what happened with Gegard Mousasi and Chris Weidman. Weidman put his fingertips down. He didn't put his palms down. Gegard throws the knee. It was legal, and the whole thing happened where Weidman kind of acted hurt. And then the doctor said, well, he's hurt. He can't go on. And it was a TKO victory for Gegard. But we heard nothing but bad things from, the same as, we're just talking about Rich Franklin. We were talking to Rich Franklin about trying to change rules. And these people get so stuck on, well, you're telling a fighter not to protect themselves. You're telling them to put both hands on the ground. No, I'm not. I'm telling them, don't do that. I'm telling them, if you want to be a grounded fighter, put your knee to the ground and put both of your hands up to protect your face. Okay? I don't want the fighter to put their hand to the ground, but you're going to have to give them a rule that makes it to where they go, that's not going to work for me anymore. Yeah. And it's going to take something like that, or change the rule to where knees are allowed on the ground, because at this point in the sport, 29, almost 30 years in. We did have knees allowed on the ground at one point. We haven't had them for a long time, and something that they need to look at, because it's not something that, oh, you know what, you're going to allow knees to the head on the ground, everyone's going to get hurt. No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Okay, they're not.
They're not going to get hurt.
But will somebody? Yes,
absolutely.
Somebody will.
Somebody gets kneed to the head on on the feet, and they get fucking hurt there too.
Oh, I know. But see, that's the whole point. They look at that. That's okay, because now they're used to it. When we started and I was going to court and all these things, do you know how many times I heard about, you're going to let someone get kneed to the face? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
And it's like they're used to defending against this. It's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. It's not this skill set that someone can just go and just, I can just go burp, done. It doesn't happen that way, and it wouldn't happen that way with knees to the head on the ground, but it would definitely change the ability for people to try to use positions that have the rule set backing them that they would never put themselves in if it wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat myself, because you guys are going to listen to our interview with Rich Franklin here coming up. But I don't want to repeat myself, because as I just repeated myself, is that the fighters will make it. They will make adjustments as time goes on.
Sure, they will.
But what I would
like they have in every rule change.
Yeah. What I would like to say though is, realistically, I don't think if your hand is down, it should be a down opponent. Now that I'm thinking about it, it should be one knee down. That's it. If your knee is down, if your hands are up, if your hands are on the ground and your butt's in the air and no knees down, you're not a down guy. You're not down, because you can still do something from there actively, like we saw. He hit the peek out, went to the inside crotch and lift and took him down and got to the top position, right to the side choke. He used the technique where the person who's actually on the front headlock, they have nothing. They have an anaconda. They've got a pretty much a guillotine. They got a guillotine, a possible darce. They've got 2 or 3 items there to do. These guys on their hands and their feet, they have a lot of options there. They've got a lot of options. They can continue to fight. They can arm drag. They can push by. They can peek out. They can shoot on. They can reshoot on the double. They can Iranian. They can do all sorts of stuff from that position, And none of them can be. You can't hit strikes from there. Nothing that can really damage you from that position.
No.
So there's got to be some adjustments, I think, in that rule, or just start allowing knees to the head, which you're going to see a lot more action in these fights. A lot more action, because these guys will not be playing that game anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, look, how many times we hear these people talk about, all these wrestlers are so boring. Well, then make more of a pitch than to have knees on the ground. If you make more of a pitch to have knees on the ground, these wrestlers won't be as boring.
100% agree.